Hey, good morning, guys. It's Mr. Whitley, and today's lesson is for Thursday, April 23rd. And I totally forgot to mention yesterday in our video that yesterday was Earth Day, and it's such a beautiful day out. Hopefully, you're able to get out a little bit today. Hopefully, it's not too rainy all day. There's many ways to celebrate Earth Day, even the day after. I sent a link to your parents for some ideas for things to celebrate Earth Day, from everything from making a bird feeder to picking up trash, even bigger things like planting a tree. So all are good ways to celebrate Earth. Remember, we only have one Earth, so we definitely want to take care of it. Well, we're going to jump right into our lesson. So for foundations, this is our last big syllable type. We've talked about a ton of syllable types. And in this case, we're talking about the consonant LE syllable type. So LE is often found at the end of a word. And it often is found in words with two or more syllables. So it makes the OO sound. And the trick is you'll hear that L, but you won't hear that E. In this case, that E is like that silent E that we mark off and say, hey, we don't actually hear it, okay? So for maple, if we're talking about the tree, we would obviously clap it out. So maple. We already knew right off the bat that it had two syllables because there's two vowels in two different spots. We're going to split maple. We're going to split that first and second syllable right after the A, but before the consonant P. So I've split it here for you. Now, LE, the consonant syllable LE, can go in words with different syllable types. So in this case, we have the long A, may, because it's not blocked off by a consonant after we split the two syllables. So we give it a macron. We have an O down there under the scoop because we know that it's an open vowel syllable. And then a consonant LE syllable type, we mark up by Xing off that E because it's a silent E. We don't hear that E in the LE syllable type. And underneath where we scoop it, we mark it as LE. Same thing with apple. Now for apple, we could clap it out, apple. Actually, I should do it, apple, as weird as that is. Because there's two consonants right next to each other, that's where we split that word. So we split the first one, right after that first P, especially whenever we have a double P or a double consonant, we're going to split right between it. Apple. So that's a short A, so we give it a breathe because it's blocked off by that P. We mark it as a C because it's a closed syllable, because that P is closing off that vowel A, and you don't actually hear the long A, you hear the short A. And pull. P-L-E, hear that P-L, but you don't hear the E there. So we mark off the E, we cross it out because it's silent, and then we mark it up with an L-E at the bottom. So, as crazy as that is, we are in our last syllable type. Man, we've had quite a year. Well, let's jump over to math. So this one's a really cool one because we get to talk about geometric shapes, 3D shapes. Now yesterday I introduced 3D shapes to you. We compared them to like going to a 3D movie where when you're wearing those 3D glasses, it looks like the shapes popping out at you. So a 3D shape is something that has depth to it. Something you can pick up and you see there's more than just one, it's not just flat. It has more than one side. So when we're talking about 3D shapes, the two shapes we really want to talk about are the cube, which is made up entirely of squares, and the rectangular prism. Now, a rectangular prism is often made up of rectangles, hence the name rectangular prism. Now, if you're talking about either one of these shapes, and in fact even more shapes than these, but let's just focus on these two, you're going to be dealing with three different parts of a 3D shape. So the first part is a face, or the face. So it's not this sort of face, it's this flat surface you get. Now if you look at this block, it's one of the boys' blocks that I just happened to grab. You can tell this is a rectangular prism. How? Well, all the faces are rectangles in this case. So this is rectangular prism. So this flat surface that makes up this rectangular prism is called a face. So if we count these, we can say there's one big face here, 2, 3, 4, we flip it on the side, 5, and 6. There are 6 faces on a rectangular prism. And if we had a cube, if we wanted to look at that, you would find that a cube would have 6 faces as well. Now, between the spot where the two faces meet, that's called the edge. So this line, if you grab a tissue box or a cereal box, it's easy to kind of do this along with me. So grab one of those two if you want to pause the video and come back. And it helps to kind of be able to touch it. So once you grab your tissue box or your cereal box, find your faces. You got those big flat faces. Hopefully not fat in this case. Between the faces, that part that connects it, like it's the edge, it's like the corner. That's the edge. So if we're counting that, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, which means we have 4 over here too. So we have 4 on this side plus 4 over here, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4 edges, 5, 6, 7, 8 edges, 9, 10, 11, 12. These things between the faces are called the edges. Now these pointy parts, the very tip, that's a vertex. If there's more than one, it's called vertices. So what we're going to do is we're going to count them, just like we did with the edges and the faces. So we know that there are 6 faces, there are 12 edges. Any predictions as to how many vertices we're going to have? Okay, let's see if you're right. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 vertices. We have how many faces again? We know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 faces, 8 vertices, and 12 edges. Now you can do that with a lot of 3D shapes. But what I would do is, if you have an old tissue box that's already done, or if you have an old cereal box, ask your mom or dad if you can grab the crayons that I gave you, or a marker or whatever, and just kind of mark up those edges, vertices, and faces. So I'm not going to do it to the boys because they'd get mad if I did this, but you could go through and mark the faces as you count them. You can make a line on the edges, and you can kind of fill in the vertices that we have all around on a rectangular prism. It's a good thing to try out, okay? All right, we're gonna jump over to our PAS lesson and then read a book.